Question is that the total sum to be allocated for head U, head M, of the estimates be reduced by $100. Ms. Foo Mee Har.
Mr. Chairman, to cope with the health and economic consequences of COVID-19 pandemic, governments around the world had mobilized massive fiscal policy responses, totally $14 trillion at the end of 2020. Singapore is no exception. The pandemic impact to our peoples made disbursement of funds a top priority so that citizens and businesses could receive urgent help when it was needed. But we cannot ignore the importance of accountability and governance of public expenditure in order to ensure resources are effectively allocated and properly accounted for. Research carried out by the International Budget Partnership involving 120 countries found that more than 2/3 of governments had limited or minimum level accountability in the introduction of their early fiscal responses. Recently, UK government had come under scrutiny for fraud and error in the country's COVID support programs, which are expected to cost the British taxpayers over £15 billion. Similarly, in the US, fraud or improper payments likely to account to more than US 90 billion of government's emergency pandemic aid for the unemployed and small businesses. Here in Singapore, we've had also our incident of dealing with 57 reports of fraud involving some 1.7 million of COVID-19 grants. So I would like to ask the Minister what controls and governance procedures were put in place by government agencies, even as they respond quickly to the evolving COVID circumstances. Given the significant COVID-related spending, I'd like to call on the government to subject key COVID expenditures to ex-post analytics and audit checks. In addition, a special audit by the Auditor General may be warranted to assess procurement processes, including cost reasonableness, taking into consideration the unique market conditions at that time, as well as regularity of the transactions. Last, the government drew lower amounts of past reserves for both financial year 2020 and 2021 than originally planned. What lessons can be drawn on the effectiveness and impact of our response from this crisis that can be applied to our management of future ones?